Welcome! This video is entitled What Suspicious Observer Isn't Telling You. Now that could be a very long video if I went into all the things he isn't telling you, but I'm just going to concentrate on one thing today, and that's his assertion in a recent video that Noah is hiding how cold things are getting by showing you doctored graphs. So what's the real problem here? In a recent video he talked about the March 2018 NOAA Global Climate Report. He claimed that the real data is being hidden from us. Namely that there's a conspiracy to change the maps to make the cold areas seemingly disappear. He then implies that he is the only one who can show us the real data. This of course is complete and utter nonsense. Now I know what's going to happen is a bunch of his supporters are going to come over to my channel and then claim that I've misquoted him or I've taken him out of context or I'm just plain lying. So you don't have to take my word for this, let's take his.
But let's go now to the Global Climate Report for March because they have outdone themselves this time. Of course, you know the drill. One of these maps has all the blue stripped away, and that is the one the media and internet get to see to make their mental judgments about the last month. Well, what we do every month is we pull the real data and then what everyone else gets to see. And today let's go region by region. We'll see how much blue disappears, starting with North America. Nice blue patch extending coast to coast, and they made you disappear. Up next we've got the Atlantic, Africa, and the Indian Ocean. Poof, bye-bye blue colors. Record cold in Russia, and a wide swath couldn't totally be removed, but it now does appear puny by comparison to the heat. There is nowhere on Earth it went the other way. The only differences between the real data and what the world sees is they removed most of the blue.
Some kind fellow went to my video about the Global Climate Report in March of 2018 and posted a link saying that Suspicious Observer had shown that my video was completely wrong. So I went there and watched it. Now his video is called Cosmic Ray, Space Weather, Hydrus 1, SO News, April 19th, 2018. And I posted a response to his video. And here's, I got a screen capture of that page showing my response. So there could be no denial that I actually put it on there. But of course, as I expected, he blocked it. So if you go there, you cannot see my response. I wonder what he's afraid of. That his viewers might see an alternative point of view or maybe even think it's true. That just shows you how much confidence he has in his own points of view, i.e. zero. You will note that I didn't block his supporter when he came over to my channel. If you want to read the comments I made in their original form, you can pause the video here and read through them, but I'm going to make many of the same points in the subsequent parts of this video. Davidson is implying that Noah is employing some sort of magic trick to make the blue areas, quote, disappear. He shows us first this map with a large cold area over western Russia. He then shows us the alternative map down here and says that area has become, quote, more puny. He then goes on to say there is nowhere on the Earth that went the other way. Yet if you look at this same map, look at this hot area over China, and in the equivalent map down below it has certainly become more puny. So Noah isn't trying to hide the cool areas or the hot areas. There's something different between these two maps that Suspicious Observer is not explaining to you, something he isn't telling you, and that's the crux of the deception here. So what Davidson is doing here is comparing apples with oranges, and he's saying, look, we start with apples and then Noah has changed them to an orange color, so they are cheating, when in fact what they're doing is they're showing you two different things. If you go to the Noah page where the data is shown to us, the link is there at the top of the page, you'll find that these two maps are actually next to each other, so they're not actually being hidden or disguised in any way. You're not being given one and not the other, you're being given both simultaneously. And if you look at the headings, you'll see that they are actually different quantities that are being compared. The one on the left is a temperature anomaly in degrees centigrade, measured with respect to an average from 1981 to 2010. So that's just a 30-year period that it's comparing to, and it's the most recent 30-year period. The one on the right is a temperature percentile, and I'll get into what percentiles are in a minute, but that's a very different sort of quantity, and it's not compared over that same period of time but with the 20th century average. So these are temperature comparisons with different baselines, and that's very, very important, and he knows that, but he's trying to make this into some vast conspiracy theory. So let's take a look at the entire temperature plot, and I've included the headers here which Suspicious Observers did not. And as I said before, it's over a limited time period from 1981 to 2010, and that average determines the zero of this scale. Noah has then chosen to add a scale of color from blue -5 degrees centigrade to dark red +5 degrees centigrade, and that determines what the color is in each pixel. But remember that this 1981 to 2010 period contained an awful lot of global warming, so this average temperature is going to be relatively high. So what is a percentile? Well, here's the percentile map, and you can see it's divided into 7 groups, from record cold to record warm. So in order to determine what's in those groups, they've taken a distribution of the temperatures over the whole of the globe, something like a normal distribution like this, and defined some portion of it as near average, either side is slightly warmer or slightly cooler than average, further out much warmer or much cooler than average, and right at the ends record cold or record heat. So this sort of map then is a way of determining just how extreme the temperatures have been compared with a long-term view of the climate, which is what you need over the last 139 years. So because you're using such a long period that contained far less global warming, then the 0 point, the near average point, is going to be much cooler than the period taken from 1981 to 2010. So the two plots are not normalized in the same way, so you wouldn't expect the colors to be the same. So what we're going to do now is actually change the baseline. This is the map for 2017 on the 1981 to 2010 baseline. You can see there's quite a bit of blue areas, some pink, a few red, but generally a fairly pastel map. Now I'm going to change that baseline to 1951 to 1980, and this is what happens. The color table has changed a little bit, so you have to be a bit careful here, but nonetheless you'll see there are far less blue areas on this plot and far more extensive very high temperature areas on this plot. And if you went back another 30 years, basically the whole map would be red, and so that's why you need both the temperature anomaly plot and also the percentiles plot. The temperature anomaly plot tells you what's been happening over a 30-year period, which is about the minimum you need to really determine a climate trend. And the percentile plot shows you whether you're setting new records or not globally, and that's a very important thing, because otherwise you have no idea how those temperature anomalies fare against the historic average. So in summary then, the real data is not hidden at all. Both plots, the percentiles plot and the temperature anomaly plot, are both on the same Noaa page, just right next to each other. The two maps show something different, so it's wrong to try to compare them the way that the Suspicious Observer did. The temperature anomaly map is measured in degrees centigrade with respect to an average from 1981 to 2010. Temperature percentile map is respect to the whole record, and so is showing something completely different, and it's showing you basically where the temperature records are being set, both high and low. To try to compare them in the way that Suspicious Observers did is actually completely deceptive. One wonders why he's so afraid for his acolytes to see what the truth really is, because perhaps some of them are going to believe it. And the way they'll believe it is by going to the Noaa website and checking for themselves, seeing both maps and reading how to interpret them. And it certainly wouldn't be in the way that Suspicious Observers did. So if you see him using this trick again, please post a link to this video and tell him he's full of nonsense. Until next time, goodbye.